Hi, I'm an asshole. I'm like an opinion. Everybody has one. Where have I been for the last 2 months? Well, the month of December, I was reading a bunch, like I was finishing up book number 40. And, let's see, like 2020 was a hell of a year. I think everybody knows that now. I read 40 books, 3 plays, and half a book, so not too bad. Lots of riots, lots of domestic terrorist attacks across the United States. Then, frickin' January hits, an idea attacks the nation's capital. Things go to hell. I'm diagnosed with too much stress. Frickin' extraterrestrial encounter on Christmas Eve didn't help things. I'm better now. I'm good. Like, I just needed to rest. I'm good. So I'm back. Hoping to talk about a few things. Books I've read, movies I've watched, things I've learned, opinions to share. Let's start out with the books I've read. Started out the year reading Huckleberry Finn, a book that I found entertaining enough, and I kept going and I kept going. It was just entertaining enough to continue. Then I get to the end of the book and I realize what I've read, and I'm like, holy shit. No wonder that book is considered a classic. That's a very good book. Now, let's see. Huckleberry Finn is an American classic for a reason. I've read it. It's a really damn good book. After that, I read Frankenstein. Also, that was different from the movie. I'm a huge fan of the movies from Universal. Boris Karloff is my man. He's got a great singing voice, but still, like, that book was great. After that, I got The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. That was also a really great book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Wasn't as good as Huckleberry Finn, but everybody says that anyway. I'm just in agreement. That's all I can say. Like, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer was really neat, seeing, like, the life of this kid. And, anyway, I read the last 2 books, Tom Sawyer Abroad and Tom Sawyer Detective, in December, actually. Yeah, like, those are among the last 2 books I read this year. It's fine though. Like, the Tom Sawyer series is like one of the few young adult series I've actually read. There's Tom Sawyer. I read the first Ender's Game. I read Treasure Island. Those are all young adults, so yeah, that's good. After that, I was reading Pirate Latitudes. After I finished The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, I read Pirate Latitudes. Pirate Latitudes was a fantastic Michael Crichton book. Honestly, I think it's his best one, and of course it's posthumous. I could only imagine what that book would have turned into had he had the time to actually polish it and finish it. Still, like, as it is, that's a damn good pirate book. Speaking of pirate books, there's 2 others I read. Actually, 2 others. Yeah, that's 4. 2. There's 2 others I read. There is Captain Blood by Raphael Sabatini. I would call that an underrated American classic. I don't even know if it was American. I'm just gonna say it is an American classic. Why not? Just appropriate some other country's book. Okay. Anyway, Raphael Sabatini's Captain Blood. Excellent book. Really adventurous. It's different from the movie. I like it better than the movie. The book is better than the movie, but I feel the movie did a few things a bit better than the book did. One of the things that the movie did better was the relationship between Captain Blood and Arabella Bishop. I felt it was further defined and fleshed out more, given more meat and more focus. And there's some other things, but I feel like the ending to the movie was stronger. I know it's a very Hollywood type ending and stuff, and I'm trying to get what the book did, but ultimately I like the Hollywood movie ending better. Mainly just like the very end. Still, like, it's a great movie, better book. almost as always. Okay. After that, I read On Stranger Tides. No, actually, after Pirate Latitudes, but before I read Captain Blood in November, in October I read On Stranger Tides by Tim Powers. Also, really, really good pirate yarn. Mixes the supernatural and the magic with pirates. Obviously, Ted Elliott and Terry Rossio read this book before they started writing Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. I mean, look, you've got Elizabeth Swann, you've got Jack Sparrow in the book, you've got an Elizabeth, and you've got a Jack. Jack Shandy, or John Chandonyak, who's a puppeteer. He turns pirate, and he's known as Jack Shandy because John Chandonyak is too difficult for a pirate to pronounce, so Jack Shandy it is. You've got Beth Herwood. I know, it's funny. Anyway, her actual name is Elizabeth Herwood. It's got, like, the quest for the Fountain of Youth. It's got Blackbeard. Yeah, and you finish the book, which is, you know, the most expensive movie ever made is based off this book, Pirates of the Caribbean on Stranger Tides. And you finish the book, and you're like, wow, that's a really fantastic pirate yarn. What the fuck was that movie? The movie has almost nothing to do with the book. Almost nothing at all. Jake, my cat. Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going into it much more, but the book is definitely well worth reading. It's very, very different from the movie, but you know what? I will give the movie props to this. You should give every movie based on a book props for being made into a movie, because there's that one person who sees the movie, really likes it, and decides to check out the book, and that gets people to read, like me. I loved watching Starship Troopers as a kid. Still freaking love watching it, but I wanted to read the book, and I did because I loved that movie. Same thing with Jurassic Park and The Lost World. Like, there's so many freaking books based on movies. Movies I freaking loved that I checked out the books, and yeah, On Stranger Tides is more of a curious thing. I'm getting into a pirate phase, I guess, and On Stranger Tides is like pretty much the book that the most expensive movie ever made is based on, so yeah. I'm going to check it out, and I really enjoyed it, and I was really mystified at that movie, because the movie has almost nothing to do with the book, and yeah, I'm repeating myself. What was the next books I read? I was reading Sergeant Rock, Volumes 3, Volume 4. That was, those are really good World War II comics. I know, like, they want to make a Sergeant Rock movie. They're thinking of making it a future war. They're thinking of making Captain Blood a space pirate movie. I'm not really for that, but lately I've been getting into space pirates too, so I guess Captain Blood space pirate movie doesn't sound as heretical to me anymore, since I'm getting into space pirates as well as pirates. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, frickin', they want to make a futuristic Sergeant Rock movie. Well, the thing about it is, like, I think they should keep it in World War II, but they should cast The Rock as Sergeant Rock. Who better to get to play Sergeant Rock than the frickin' Rock? I'd watch it. I'm not really one to go to see movies starring The Rock. I mean, they're usually not very good. I mean, granted, I haven't seen the Jumanji ones, but to be fair, like, I'm kind of like old school Robin Williams Jumanji, so, yeah, maybe I should give the new Jumanji a chance. I don't know. I think modern Hollywood sucks. Anyway, Sergeant Rock is leader's Easy Company in World War II. That'd be badass. Like, imagine like a Saving Private Ryan type movie, but starring The Rock. Yeah. Anyway, let's see. Next books I read. I think after I read that book, I was reading The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. I reviewed those books in greater detail in another video. Hopefully I'll remember to link it. Anyway, those are great books based off classic literary characters. To be fair, like, I went through school, like 12 years of school. Actually graduated, unlike a lot of my friends. But the thing is that it burnt me out. I was completely burnt out of reading. I freaking loved to read as a kid. And it's like high school burnt me out. And I couldn't read. And it wasn't until like a couple years later I was starting to read comic books again. And I started collecting The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, a series I heard was good that was based off a really sucky movie. And so I started reading the books, and like, as I read the first book, it's a really good comic book starring classic literary characters of classic literature, which I loved as a kid, and I still love it and I'm still reading. So the point is that I'm really digging this comic. And then at the end, there's like this text short story by Alan Moore. Now, I haven't read anything text like in terms of short story or literature in years at this point because I've been burnt out, but like it was so engaging, it got me back into reading. So I read this short story and I freaking loved it. And so what do? Like I start, rereading some things. Like I finished Lord of the Rings. Okay, I finally admit it. I never finished Lord of the Rings in high school. The movies came out, and my sister wanted to borrow the book. I couldn't finish the book, so I kind of had to sit out Lord of the Rings, because my sister kept borrowing the books. Well, I finished Lord of the Rings. Fantastic books, by the way. Really fantastic. And, I'm starting to read Sherlock Holmes, King Arthur, Merry Adventures of Robin Hood. It's all these books that I had read in middle school, but had kind of forgotten. I remember them more now, so that's good. Point is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, if you're a lover of classic literature, or if you want something to get you kick-started into reading more literature, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is a great starter. What's the term? Like a great training wheels to get back into heavy literature. Yeah. Would highly recommend it. Check it out before you let a kid see it. I would say that, like, they are kind of mature comics. Anyway. It's 12 minutes, okay. Anyway, the point is that I think they can hear you purring. Doesn't matter. Cat's making me paranoid. Okay. No, what was that? Oh, yeah. COVID hit. Yeah. That was February. COVID hit. Lockdown. Plague. People are dying. Like, mass panic. We don't know what's going on. And it's like, oh, well, in time of plague, get to know thy God. So I picked up a copy of the Bible, and I read some religious texts from hey,